You know the feeling. It is that specific, hollow vibration that hums beneath your skin when the silence gets too loud. It is the panic that sets in on a Sunday afternoon when there is nothing left to do, no task to complete, no crisis to solve, and you are left alone with the one person you have spent your entire life trying to avoid, yourself. You have spent years, perhaps decades, curating a life of high-functioning distraction. You chase achievements not because you want the prize, but because the chase itself is a socially acceptable anesthetic. You seek out intense relationships, chaotic dynamics, and impossible standards because they demand all of your attention, leaving none left over for the void that waits for you in the quiet moments. You tell yourself you are ambitious. You tell yourself you are passionate. You tell yourself you are simply intense. But deep down, in the moments before sleep takes you, you know the truth. You are not running toward a destination. You are running away from a cure. You are fleeing from the only thing that could heal you, because that healing requires you to face the one thing you fear more than pain: the complete dissolution of who you think you are. But what if I told you that this impulse to run, this frantic, compulsive need to escape into pleasure, into work, into dramas, not a sign that you are broken? What if I told you that this specific form of self-sabotage is actually a symptom of a higher intelligence trying to break through? What if the problem you are trying to solve is actually the solution you are too terrified to accept? And if you've been resonating with this, maybe it's time to join the space where we go deeper every week. You know where the button is? We need to deconstruct the architecture of this flight. To understand why we flee from healing, we must turn to the philosophy of Martin Heidegger and the psychology of deep hedonism. Most people interpret their inability to sit still, their addiction to stimulation, as a lack of discipline or a dopamine dysregulation. They think, I just need more willpower. But Heidegger would argue that this restlessness is not a bug in your system. It is the primary feature of your inauthentic existence. Heidegger describes a state of being he calls verfallen, or falling. This is the state of being absorbed in the world of things, of chatter, of the Vedas man. We fall into the world of distractions to avoid the anxiety angst of facing our true existence. You see, true existence, what Heidegger calls Dasein, being there, is characterized by a terrifying freedom. It is the realization that you are thrown into this world, that you will die, and that you are solely responsible for creating meaning in a universe that offers none by default. This realization is heavy, it is oppressive, it is the weight of the ocean on a deep-sea diver. So, what do? We swim to the surface. We fall into the everydayness. We obsess over the news, we scroll through social media until our eyes burn, we create arguments with our partners, we drink, we consume, we busy ourselves with the trivial. We do this because the trivial is safe, the trivial is manageable, the trivial distracts us from the abyss. Your hedonism, your pursuit of pleasure or distraction, is not about happiness. It never was. It is a defense mechanism. It is a structural barricade you have erected against the sensation of nothingness. You run from the cure because the cure looks like the void. You run from healing because healing feels like dying. And you are right, it is a death. It is the death of the false self that requires constant external input to feel alive. Let me give you an analogy to visualize this diagnostic state. Imagine that you have lived your entire life inside a burning building. The heat is intense, the smoke is choking you, and the structural beams are collapsing around you. But you have been in this building so long that you have convinced yourself that the fire is energy. You have convinced yourself that the choking smoke is atmosphere. You spend your days running from room to room, fighting small fires, dodging falling debris, and you call this living debris. You call this excitement. You are proud of your ability to navigate the disaster. Then, someone opens a door to the outside. You look through the frame, and you see a lush, green meadow. It is cool. It is still. The air is clear. There is no fire. There is no noise. And your immediate, visceral reaction is absolute terror. You slam the door shut. Why? Because you do not know how to exist in a world that isn't burning. You have adapted your entire physiology, your entire psychology, to the heat. The cool air feels like freezing to death. The silence feels like deafness. The lack of crisis feels like a lack of purpose. You run back into the fire because the fire is familiar. The fire validates your struggle. The meadow offers you peace, but it demands that you stop fighting, and you have forgotten who you are without the fight. This is what happened to you. You have mistaken the trauma response for your personality. You have mistaken the adrenaline of survival for the vitality of life. And now, when life offers you a chance to put down the sword, to step out of the burning building, you recoil. You sabotage the peace. You pick a fight. You binge on a substance. You destroy the calm because the calm feels like a threat to your very existence. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine a deep-sea diver who has spent years operating at a crushing depth, wearing a pressurized suit designed to withstand enormous weight. This suit is heavy, rigid, and clunky, but it keeps the ocean from crushing him. This suit represents your ego, your defenses, your personality constructed to deal with trauma and the harshness of the world. Inside the suit, there is a constant hum of machinery pumps, fans, oxygen regulators keeping you alive. This noise is constant. It is your baseline. Now, imagine that you begin to ascend. You are moving toward the surface, toward the light, toward the air, toward healing. As you rise, the pressure of the ocean decreases. The crushing weight that necessitated the heavy suit begins to lift. But here is the terrifying part. As the external pressure drops, the suit begins to feel impossibly heavy. The machinery seems deafeningly loud. The armor that saved your life at the bottom is now suffocating you at the top. The cure requires you to take off the suit. It requires you to shed the defenses that kept you safe in the trauma. But you are terrified. You look at your own skin and think, I am too soft. I am too weak. If I take this off, I will dissolve. You feel the lightness of the shallow water and you interpret it as instability. You feel the silence of the surface and you interpret it as abandonment. So, what do? You dive back down. You deliberately swim back into the darkness, back into the crushing pressure, just so the suit makes sense again. You seek out the pain because the pain justifies the armor. This is what is happening when you destroy a healthy relationship because it feels boring. You are diving back down to the pressure depth where your defensive armor is useful. This is what happens when you sabotage your professional success just when things are getting stable. You are diving back down to the crisis mode where your adrenaline addiction has a purpose. You are not running from the cure because you want to suffer. You are running from the cure because you do not know who you are without the suit. If this is hitting different for you, consider staying. We explore these depths every single week. The most common and most dangerous response to this realization is to try to modify the suit. You think, okay, I see the problem, I need to fix myself, I need to be better, I need more self-improvement. You read the books, you listen to the podcasts, you optimize your routine. You treat healing as another project to be conquered. You apply the same frantic energy of the burning building to the task of putting out the fire. But this is a trap. It is a false solution. You cannot use the energy of the flight to cure the flight. You cannot use the mind that created the labyrinth to solve the labyrinth. When you try to fix yourself with intensity, you are simply feeding the same mechanism of distraction. You are turning healing into a new form of hedonism. You get a high from the breakthrough. You get a dopamine hit from the yoga class. You get a rush from the cold plunge. It is just the same drug in a different package. This creates a metaphor of escalation. It is like a hunger that feeds on itself. The more you try to fill the void with healing activities, the more you validate the existence of the void. You are telling yourself, I am broken, I am broken, I am broken. With every attempt to fix it, the obsession with the cure becomes the disease. You become addicted to the process of fixing because it distracts you from the terrifying simplicity of just being. What is necessary is a complete inversion of the paradigm. We must move from the psychology of pursuit to the psychology of reception. We must introduce a new concept, ontological sobriety. Ontological sobriety is not about abstaining from alcohol or drugs, though that may be part of it. It is about abstaining from the intoxication of distraction. It is the willingness to be completely sober to the reality of your own existence, without the buffer of drama, without the filter of ideology, without the numbing agent of constant pleasure. In this state of ontological sobriety, you do not feel good in the conventional sense. You feel real. And reality is often neutral. Reality is often quiet. Reality is often boring. but it is a boredom that vibrates with a frequency of truth. It is the difference between the frantic, neon light of a casino and the gray, steady light of a dawn sky. The casino is exciting, but it is a cage. The dawn is quiet, but it is infinite. This new state is characterized by a radical presence. It is the ability to sit in a room, staring at a wall, and feel a sense of completeness that does not depend on anything happening. It is the ability to look at your pain not as a problem to be solved, but as a phenomenon to be witnessed. It is the realization that the void you have been running from is not a black hole that will consume you. It is a blank canvas that is waiting for you to stop screaming so it can show you the picture. Imagine you are in a dark room. For years, you have been frantically lighting matches, one after another, terrified of the dark. You burn your fingers, you scramble for the next match, you panic when the flame flickers. This is your old life. The cure is not a giant flashlight. The cure is to stop lighting matches. It is to let the darkness come. And as you sit in the dark, your eyes slowly adjust, and you realize that the room isn't dark. It is filled with a soft, bioluminescent light that comes from you, but you could never see it because you were blinded by the glare of the matches. Now, I must warn you about something. You might think this sounds poetic, but in practice, it feels like withdrawal. When you first stop running, when you first stop lighting the matches, you will not feel peace. You will feel agitation. You will feel the terror of the pause. Your brain, deprived of its usual dopamine hits, will scream at you. It will tell you that you are depressed. It will tell you that you are wasting your life. It will tell you that you are losing your edge. You might think this sounds rather dull, painful, boring, ... And you would be right from the perspective of the addict. To the addict, sobriety looks like death. But here is the reframe you must understand. The intensity you crave is just stress disguised as meaning. The passion you chase is just instability disguised as love. The drive you pride yourself on is just anxiety disguised as ambition. You are not losing your edge. You are losing your shackles. The cost of maintaining the flight is your soul. The cost of the cure is your illusions. It is a fair trade, but it is a painful one. Let me tell you about a man named Julian. Julian was the architect of his own golden cage. He was a high-powered creative director, a man who lived on the cutting edge of culture. His life was a blur of flights, launch parties, intense romances, and 80-hour work weeks. He defined himself by his motion. If he wasn't moving, he didn't exist. He had a philosophy: sleep is for the dead. He wore his exhaustion like a badge of honor. The crisis didn't come with a bang. It didn't come with a bankruptcy or a divorce. It came on a Tuesday morning in a hotel room in Tokyo. He woke up, looked at the ceiling, and realized that he felt absolutely nothing. He had the contract, he had the money, he had the girl, he had the status, and inside, there was just white noise. He tried to generate the usual excitement. He booked a first-class ticket to a new destination. He bought a vintage watch, but the machine was broken. The lever of pleasure no longer dispensed the pellet of satisfaction. His Verada, his turning point, was counterintuitive. He didn't quit his job to travel the world. That would have been just more running. He didn't start a new company. He simply stopped initiating. He went home to his empty apartment. He turned off his phone. He sat on his sofa. And for the first time in 20 years, he didn't turn on the TV. He didn't pick up a book. He just sat. The first hour was excruciating. His mind raced. He felt physically sick with the need to do something. He felt the phantom vibration of his phone. He felt the crushing weight of his own thoughts, but he stayed. He treated it like a physical endurance challenge. I will just sit here and see what kills me. And then, something shifted. Around the fourth hour of silence, the panic crested and broke. The wave crashed, and behind it was ... stillness. It wasn't happiness. It wasn't joy. It was a profound, dense sense of weight. He felt the weight of his body on the cushion. He saw the dust motes dancing in the shaft of light. He realized that, for 20 years, he had been a ghost haunting his own life, moving too fast to ever actually inhabit a moment. Now, he was solid. He was there. Julian realized that he had been running from this stillness, because the stillness demanded that he face the grief of all the years he had wasted running. But once he faced it, the grief transformed into presence. He returned to his life, but the frequency had changed. He no longer worked to escape, he worked to create. He no longer sought relationships to distract him, he sought them to connect. He had stopped running from the cure and allowed the cure to catch him. This transformation is not a clean, linear process. It is a biological, existential metamorphosis. Think of the caterpillar in the chrysalis. We use this metaphor often, but we sanitize it. We think the caterpillar just grows wings. It doesn't. The caterpillar dissolves. It releases enzymes that digest its own body. It turns into a formless genetic soup. If you cut open a chrysalis halfway through the process, you won't find a cute half caterpillar, half butterfly, you will find goo. When you feel like you are falling apart, when you feel like your identity is liquefying, when you feel the terrifying loss of structure, this is not a sign of mental illness. This is not a sign of failure. This is the biological and existential reality of transformation. You are running from the cure because the cure requires you to spend time as the goo. It requires you to exist in a state of potentiality without form. And the ego hates being formless. The ego wants to be the caterpillar, eating, consuming, moving, or the butterfly flying, beautiful, admired. It does not want to be the soup. But here is the brutal truth. You cannot skip the soup. You cannot jump from the burning building to the meadow without passing through the door of the unknown. The reason your previous attempts at healing have failed, the reason you keep circle-jerking back to the same destructive habits, is because you abort the process the moment you start to melt. You feel the first drop of enzyme dissolving your old self, the first moment of true and anchored emptiness, and you panic. You scream, something is wrong, and you frantically try to rebuild the caterpillar. You try to glue the shell back together with alcohol, with sex, with overwork, with drama. You are not saving yourself. You are arresting your own development. You are trapping yourself in a half-dead, half-alive state, a zombie existence where you are too awake to sleep but too terrified to wake up. And if you've been resonating with this, maybe it's time to join the space where we go deeper every week. You know where the button is? Now, we must transition to the practical. How do we endure the goo? How do we stop running? If the impulse to run is biological and psychological, how do we override it? We must turn to the concept of This is a term Heidegger borrowed and adapted, often translated as releasement or letting be. In your old paradigm, your mode of being is will to power in a crude sense. You are constantly willing, forcing, grasping, manipulating. You are trying to make yourself happy. You are trying to force the void to go away. You are treating your interiority like a construction site. Gelassenheit is the opposite. It is the willingness to let things reveal themselves as they are, without forcing them into a structure of utility. It is a form of non-willing. This is not passivity. It is the most active, difficult thing you will ever do. It is the active restraint of the ego's desire to colonize the silence. When you feel the urge to run to check the phone, to call the toxic ex, to start the fight, your standard reaction is to engage in a tug-of-war with the impulse. You fight it. You debate it. You negotiate with it. Just one peek. Or no, I shouldn't. Or maybe tomorrow. This debate is still a form of engagement. It is still noise. The cure is to step back and watch the impulse rise like a wave. Do not build a dam. Do not swim against it. Just stand on the shore of your own awareness and watch the wave crash. It will be loud. It will be scary. It will scream. If you don't act now, you will die of boredom. You will vanish. Let it scream. The wave will crest. It will break. And then, this is the physics of emotion, it will recede. If you do not feed it with action, it must recede. And in the space left behind by the receding wave, you will find a grain of the cure. You will find a moment of Gelassenheit. You will realize, I felt the urge to destroy my peace. I did nothing, and I am still here. This brings us to a crucial distinction Heidegger makes about boredom, which is central to your flight. You run because you are terrified of boredom, but you misunderstand what boredom is. Heidegger identified 3 levels of boredom, and understanding them is the key to stopping the run. The first level is becoming bored by something. You are at a train station, waiting for a train. The train is late. You are annoyed. You look at your watch. You are bored by the delay. This is superficial. The second level is being bored with something. You are at a party. The music is okay, the people are nice, nothing is wrong, but you feel a pervasive sense of emptiness. You are engaging, you are chatting, but time drags. You are bored alongside the situation. This is where most of your life happens. This is the high-functioning emptiness. But there is a third level, die tief languile, profound boredom. It is boring for one. Not I am bored, but it is boring. The I disappears. The specific situation disappears. All that remains is the sheer, indifferent weight of existence itself. The world is stripped of all labels, all utility, all distraction. It is just a silent, massive is. You run from everything that could cure you because the cure resides in level 3. The cure is profound boredom. When you hit level 3, you feel like you are dying because the I that needs entertainment is dying. The void opens up, and this is the moment of truth. If you can stay in level 3, if you can sit in the profound boredom without reaching for the phone, without reaching for the distractions, something miraculous happens. The silence stops being empty and starts being pregnant. It becomes a clearing lichtung in the forest of your mind. In this clearing, you are no longer defined by what you do, or who you know, or what you consume. You are defined by the simple miracle that you are. This is the call of conscience Heidegger speaks of. It calls you back from the they to your own essential self. But you can only hear the call when the noise stops. You have been running from the boredom, but the boredom was the ringing of the phone. You have been running from the very signal that was trying to wake you up. If this is hitting different for you, consider staying. We explore these depths every single week. So, here are the practical instructions for those brave enough to stop running. These are not tips for productivity. These are protocols for existential surgery. Protocol 1, the fast of attention. You must identify your primary anesthetic. For some, it is social media. For others, it is work. For others, it is romantic validation. Whatever your primary drug is, you must engage in a radical, temporary cessation. This is not about balance. You cannot balance an addiction. You must starve the parasite. For 48 hours, you do not engage with your primary anesthetic. When the withdrawal hits, and it will hit hard, you do not substitute it with something else. If you stop scrolling TikTok, do not start watching Netflix. If you stop working, do not start cleaning the house. You must replace the activity with nothing. You sit, you walk, you stare at the ceiling. You invite the profound boredom. You say, come in, sit with me. Show me what you are hiding. You will feel agitation. Your leg will shake. Your mind will race. This is the goo phase. This is the suit feeling heavy. Endure it. The only way out is through. Protocol 2, the practice of disappointment. You run from healing because you are addicted to the validation of the they you. Perform for an audience that doesn't care about you. To heal, you must be willing to disappoint people. You must be willing to say no without an excuse. You must be willing to be perceived as boring or changed or weird by your old circle. When you stop performing the old high-intensity persona, people will ask, are you okay? You seem quiet. They will interpret your peace as depression because they only know how to value performance. You must practice the art of letting them be wrong. You must find safety in your own internal assessment, independent of their feedback. This is the severing of the umbilical cord to the day self. Protocol 3, observation of the before. Catch yourself in the split second before you run. There is always a micro moment, a flash of anxiety, a tightness in the chest, a fleeting thought of, I can't handle this silence. Usually, this moment is unconscious. You feel the anxiety, and you are already opening the app or pouring the drink before you register it. Your task is to widen the gap between the trigger and the response. I am feeling a sensation of emptiness. I am noticing an urge to create chaos. Label it. Here is the flight response. Do not judge it, just label it. By naming it, you separate yourself from it. You become the observer of the flight rather than the passenger. Protocol for reframing the void as the womb. Language shapes reality. You call it the void, the abyss, the empty. These words connote loss, danger, negation, change the lexicon. It is not the void. It is the source. It is not emptiness. It is space. It is not boredom. It is rest. When you sit in the quiet, remind yourself, I am not losing my life. I am recharging my existence at the source. The universe is mostly empty space. Atoms are mostly empty space. The empty is what holds the solid. By running from the empty, you are running from the foundation of the solid. If you are still here, you already know this isn't surface-level content. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper. We must also address the specific lies your mind will tell you during this process. The mind is a cunning lawyer, and it will present very logical arguments for why you should abandon the cure. Line number 1. I am becoming lazy. You will mistake the cessation of frantic, neurotic busyness for laziness. You will think, if I'm not stressing, I'm not achieving. The reframe: stress is not fuel, it is friction. A well-oiled machine is quiet. A broken machine grinds and screeches. You have mistaken the screeching of your broken psyche for the sound of productivity. Silence is the sound of efficiency. You are not becoming lazy, you are becoming frictionless. Line number 2. I am losing my passion. You will mistake the loss of emotional volatility for the loss of ability to feel. You will miss the highs and the lows. You will miss the drama. The reframe: you didn't have passion, you had reactivity. You were a leaf blown by the wind of external circumstances. True passion is not a reaction to the world. It is an action upon the world that comes from a centered place. You are trading the chaotic, reactive passion of a child for the deliberate, creative power of an adult. Line number 3. I will end up alone. You fear that if you stop playing the games, stop seeking the validation, stop participating in the chatter, everyone will leave. The reframe: the people who only liked your mask will leave. Let them go. They were never with you. They were with the performance. By dropping the mask, you create the space for genuine connection. You are clearing the room of the ghosts so the real people can enter. You are not isolating, you are filtering. This brings us to the edge of the synthesis. We are now standing in the rubble of the old structure. The dust is settling, the frantic running has stopped. You are sitting in the quiet, perhaps still trembling slightly from the withdrawal. And you look around. What do you see? You see that the world did not end. You see that the sun still rises without your anxiety to push it. You see that you are still breathing without the artificial lung of external validation. And here is the twist. The great cosmic joke that Heidegger and the existentialists were trying to whisper to us all along. The thing you were running toward was always right behind you. You were running to find peace, but you were running away from the only place peace can exist, the here. You were running to find yourself, but you were running away from the only entity that is you, the one who is running. The cure was never a destination. The cure was the cessation of the search. Heidegger speaks of dwelling. To dwell is to be at peace in a place, to care for it, to let it be cued. We have forgotten how to dwell. We are tourists in our own lives, always looking for the next attraction, the next photo op, the next souvenir. We never unpack, we never take off our shoes, we never sit by the fire. To stop running from the cure is to finally, after a lifetime of wandering, put down your bags. It is to look at the imperfect, quiet, perhaps slightly boring reality of your present moment and say, I live here now. It is to realize that the healing you were looking for wasn't a flash of lightning that would change you into a superhuman. The healing was the acceptance that you are human, finite, and enough. And if you've been resonating with this, maybe it's time to join the space where we go deeper every week. You know where the button is, but let's be honest. Even hearing this, a part of you is already planning the next escape. A part of you is thinking, okay, I'll try this stillness thing, but only so I can get the energy to go crush my goals next month. You are trying to turn surrender into a strategy for conquest. Stop it. You cannot trick the universe. You cannot bargain with the void. You cannot use Gelassenheit as a hack for productivity. It doesn't work that way. The moment you use silence as a means to an end, it ceases to be silence and becomes just another noise, the noise of ambition. You must enter the silence with no agenda. You must enter it like you enter the ocean, naked, vulnerable, and with respect for its power. You must be willing to be dissolved. Think of the story of the prodigal son. We usually focus on the return, but think about the moment before the return. The moment in the pigsty, the moment of absolute rock bottom. The son didn't run home because he had a great plan. He went home because he had run out of other places to go. He had exhausted the world. You are the prodigal son. You have spent your inheritance, your energy, your attention, your youth on the cheap thrills of the world. You have run to the ends of the earth looking for something that would fill the hole in your chest, and you are starving. The cure is simply the decision to stop eating the husks in the pigsty. It is the realization that you don't need to find the Father. You just need to turn around and walk back to the house you fled. The house is your own soul. The Father is your own being. And the feast has been waiting on the table the entire time you were out there, starving yourself on the illusion of pleasure. Why do you run? You run because you think you are unworthy of the feast. You think you have to earn your place at the table with achievements, with drama, with suffering. You think if you just suffer enough, if you just run hard enough, you will finally be allowed to rest. But the door is unlocked. The price has been paid. The running is not the requirement. The running is the refusal.